Sometimes I even read. Anyways, how the heck are you? I am Tom the Whiskey Whisperer as I do this video and making things going here. How the heck are you? I'll be right back. All right, bear with me, folks. I'll be right back. I forgot to grab something. So I'm gonna pour some whiskey neat down with you a second. But I got to put a cocktail together real quick. So bear with me. We'll jump off camera real quick. I'll be right back. I'm a cheap date because I'm a cheap date. I won't cost you. Yeah, because I'm a cheap date. So, cheap day, Tommy Two Tone. I'm probably getting a flag for that, but nevertheless, bear with me. One more. We're working with you, Tom, but you're starting to get on our last nerve. Anyway, so I put together more or less kind of an old fashioned style cocktail, but I'm not going to use a simple. I got some things going on. I'll explain to you here in a little bit, but I want to drink some straight whiskey with you before I get to that. So I'm going to get that cold, but I am going to serve it straight up at the end. Because I'm a cheap date. Anyways, I digress. So here's what I got going on with that cocktail. It is so I picked up some creme de cacao from the from Rocktown Distillery. They do their own kind of liqueurs and cordials, so I used theirs. So I got that going on with a couple other things from them. So it'll make sense once you see it all together. But I want to pour a little bit of this particular whiskey that I really like. I wish I'd have bought two bottles of it. They're single barrel Golden Promise straight bourbon whiskey using Golden Promise malt, right? But like they're brewing beer. What the hell are they doing there, Rockton? But I tell you, the man, that their products are amazing, and not only that is that their bartenders are really good too. As a bartender myself, Tom, you're a bartender. Yes, I am. By golly, I am. I am enjoying being a bartender in my old age. I don't know that I would have done this well uh, at half my age, right? At 30, I don't know that I would have been a good bartender. I don't know that I would have had the wherewithal to do the things that I'm able to do right now. I don't know that I'd be able to work in a bar and not drink at 30, but at 60, I can. Yeah, well, I don't drink till the end of the shift, man. No, well, usually I don't drink till I get home, but nevertheless, I mean, it's a different ball game now. I mean, your attitude is different as you get older. Um, Most of the bartenders I work with are very much younger than I am. Most at a minimum of 30 years younger, and they're good at what they do. But their philosophy about what they do is much different than mine at my age. You just look at things different as you get older. You just can't help but to do that. Life is different, things are different. So I mean, yeah, I don't do things the same way now at 60 that I did at 30. I used to like to listen to uh what's his name? I can't remember his name now. Uh at that political show, O'Donnell. And I liked a lot of his views, but then he started getting a little weird on me. He started talking about how people never change from high school. I think, really, if you haven't changed from high school, then there's something seriously wrong with you. Then I remember an old friend reached out to me, uh, and she said, "Have you talked to so and so, the mutual friend we had?" And I said, "Yeah, but we've kind of lost contact." And she said, "Yeah, me too, because he hasn't changed since high school." And I thought, damn, it's not just me. And I think, you have certain friends you want to keep in contact with only because you knew them from a period of time, right? You knew them since high school. But at some point, you have nothing more in common with them, right? But I remember talking to her going, well, she asked me specifically, we talked to so and so, and I said, yeah, but we haven't connected in a while. We just, our lives are different. He's 40 something at this point and never been married, and I've got a couple kids. We just don't have anything in common anymore. And she kind of chuckled and said, "Yeah, well, I mean, he just had doesn't seem to have changed since high school." And say, "Yeah, you know." But I think we all know those folks. But for a political commentator to say nobody ever changes at high school after high school, I'm thinking, damn, Chris, really? Nobody ever changes. No, people change. If everybody you know is exactly the same since high school, then it's you that's stagnant, not them. So I don't know, man. Unfortunately, the friend I'm talking about passed away a few years ago, much younger than she should have. But I have a feeling that was part of it, is that she saw others around her not growing. And I think that's part of the reason why there's very few people I've known since high school that I still have contact with, because I'm clearly not the same person I was in high school. But if you are, then you and I have nothing in common. And I think that's an issue, right? I think there's a lot of folks out there that haven't changed since high school, and for them, it's the norm. So they're only hovering around those exact same people, those exact same people that were with them through this sport, that sport, or the other sport. And maybe that's why I never fit in high school, because I was never going to be that person. I like to make the joke that the only thing worse than not fitting in high school would have been fitting in high school. It was terrible being the outcast I was, but being able, if I did fit in with somebody else, oh, that would have been even worse for me. I liked being the different person. I've always enjoyed that, to be honest with you. That's kind of why I am who I am at this moment in time. Is I've always liked being that outcast. I've never minded being an outcast. In fact, I've always kind of reveled. I never wanted to belong to any group. People have asked me about this, that, or the other. I don't have issues with folks belonging to a church. If that's what you need, that's what you need. But I've never needed that. So we've gone to a lot of churches over the years, my wife and I. There's a church in town we belong to, but I've never had that need to belong to that church to be there every Sunday, to see the same people day in day. I just don't have that in me. I don't care. I think there's something to be said for being the outcast. Anyways, I digress. But I digress, man. What do you know, Tom? Not a lot. I've never professed to be smarter than anybody else. There's always been that line, right? If you're the smartest person in the room, you're the wrong room. You're in the wrong room. And I've always made sure I've never ever been the smartest person in the room. Now, of course, I'm not that bright anyway, but nevertheless, I've always said a smart man always marries a smarter woman. My wife is far more intelligent than I am. I'm the pretty one. So yeah, I got a friend that says, "Good thing you're pretty." No, I'm not pretty, but I bring other things to the table. I could. I like to joke. I could cook. It's the only thing I ever brought to the table is that I could cook. Otherwise, she could have done it far better than me. Uh, I always feel like though we did make a good team, and we raised two very good kids, Callista and Seamus. Of course, we lost Seamus young, but Callista turned out very well. We got two incredible grandkids. I just remember one conversation. I'm trying to remember the ages. I think Callista was, gosh, I don't remember now. Callista was maybe what, they were 9 years apart. So Seamus would be about 12, maybe 13 at the time. So Callista was about 22. Anyway, they both come in, and Seamus asked for something, and we said no. And Callista said, "Well, you guys are too strict." And I said, "Seamus, are we too strict?" I said, "Seamus, do you think we're too strict?" And he says, "Yeah, but I don't mind." And Chris always thought we were too tough. But Seamus would admit it, we were probably more strict than most of his friends, but he was okay with that. That line, that one time, always just that always sticks with me. Yeah, or you think we're too strict? Or more strict than your friends are, or friends' parents are. I said, yeah, but I don't mind. And I think it was because we gave him a way out, right? Seamus was a good kid, so if he really wanted to do something, we were going to let him do it. But if he didn't want to do it, then his parents could be the bad guys and say no. Mom and Dad said no. They're assholes. They're very strict. I think Callista, as she got older, got it too, but especially now that she's raising kids. Her kids are now 12 and 11, and they're not giving her the easiest of times at the moment, but they are good kids. It's tough to be a parent. There's no time in history where it's been easy to be a parent. I think a lot of folks want to make you think it's tougher now, or it's tougher then, or it's tougher at this point in history, it's tougher at that point in history. And I think every point history is hard, man. We all have different obstacles to get through. So is it tougher now than before? Is it tougher then than now? It kind of, it's all about your attitude. I wish the kids now didn't have to go through some of the things you're going through. But then again, the other side of that, there are kids that are able to go through things now, even though it is hard, that 20 years ago they weren't able to even admit. So at least they're able to admit it now and be who they are, even though they're dealing with a lot of ignorance and bigotry about who they are. So, anyways, I digress. But I digress, man. I am Tom, the Whiskey Whisperer, Whiskey Evangelist, prolific whiskey drinker, for rare whistle man. All around good guy, lunch.